people who do the practice as horticulturists or florists. And then he retired from the banking job to set up his garden business. So we were, myself and my siblings, were all raised and bred in the business. So I'd say our growing up was in the business. We developed passion for the business. We kind of proceeded in discipline, learning on the practice itself. So for all of my siblings, we are all horticulturists who have find ourselves in different fields in the horticulture business.
So many people say, oh, gardening in Nigeria was never native. So, do you agree with that particular conception? Is gardening native to Nigeria or to Africa? Let's go, brother.
Gardening partially was not native to us. Why I said partially was because before the coming in of the missionaries were actually the ones who introduced gardening to Africans, Nigerians, all of us as a whole. And before their coming in, we've all always been planting one thing or the other for consumption purposes. But their coming in, the missionaries, as they came in with a lot of things, which are setting up a kind of environment for their immediate accommodation, happens to come with gardening. In the process, they would hire a black man who would be keeping out weeds, taking care of the plants, who was learning along with them, who also fell in love with the doing, and who actually adopted the idea, and gradually we also fell in love with gardening. So I would say it was partially a part of us because we have been planting before the advent of the missionaries. But the missionaries made us come to realize and identify with transferring planting into beautification.
So if planting for aesthetics was never part of us until the missionaries came, would you say this love for plants is something innate or something you have to learn?
It's something you have to learn. It's never innate.
So how come they brought it to us and we never even thought about it?
Yes, because a typical African man would plant his cassava, not regarding any respect for the leaves, the stalks, nor the stem as any beauty. Our interest is only in the tuber, which is below the bosom, the ridge. But you see, the white man, the missionaries, are seeing beyond that tuber.
That's the issue. What makes them see beyond that? They're human beings just like us.
Well, their environment is well enabling. Ours is not. They are centuries ahead of us. So there are a lot of conveniences around them that will make them see clearer, better, and farther. Unlike us, until today, I can tell you that we are still struggling with daily bread. Any field you find any Nigerians today, we are still doing it primarily for daily bread purposes. You will hardly find an artisan or an entrepreneur in a field whereby he's passionate about it, he's doing it to impact in a positive difference in his immediate environment. You find everybody in the field whereby we are just doing it for daily bread. I must sell today, I must sell today, I must sell today. So he will concentrate on what we sell. That is why we will plant our own cassava and concentrate on the tuber. We are not attaching any value to the stalks, the stem, the leaves. Whereas, if I should analyze the beauty of cassava plants, my brother, you will go back home with the leaves and stock them in a water glass and place it on your table.
If I want to have a garden, I need space.
That's correct.
Everyone needs space.
That's correct.
So when we talk about space, does it have to be, a ground like this with a whole lot of soil?
It can be any ground.
Any ground?
Yes.
Even concrete?
Yes. Even tarred roads. It can be a tarred surface. It can be a cement surface. It can be a steel surface.
Steel surface?
Yes.
That's, metal.
Metal, yes. So that is where the job of a garden person comes in. Be it a landscaper, horticulturist, or florist. there are a lot of details attached to those titles. So when we visit the site, we first thing identify how the environment had, or still we know if to introduce breaking of the ground or introducing pots, ornamental pots. It can be cement, it can be plastic. But my brother, by the time a garden person puts 1 or 2 touches in that environment, you would have a garden.
Okay, if I have concrete in my compound,
Yes.
is it okay to, create a layer of soil on the concrete, maybe a couple of inches, and then plant on the soil?
It is okay for aesthetics purposes, but it won't last. So one of the things is when client insists, because you won't find any horticulturist or landscaper do that deliberately, but in most cases, client satisfaction are being prioritized. When a client insists that is what he or she wants, we have to bend to satisfy the client. But we make them understand that it has a timeline. And that's the reason you see something lately, we have aesthetic grass, the artificial grass. These days, we now adopt the usage of artificial grass to set up professional football fields. When you visit crèche environment, children's schools, playgroup, you see that in their environment, we hardly use the natural grass to prepare their play area, but we adopt the usage of this artificial grass. So what we do at first is make sure the ground is soft. If it is cement, we have to break it. Put some layer of soil on that cement before we lay the grass. Just so as they play about, they will fall, they will rise. If the grass, artificial grass itself, is being laid on a hard surface, there's no way they won't be sustaining injuries.
Okay, one space is available.
Once space is available, horticulturists know what to do to turn such space into a garden.
And it's great we're talking to an expert. So, I have my space ready. What are the factors to consider for plant selection?
Yeah, that's a very important one. When I receive my clients, the first thing I do is we go into interactions. You're welcome, what do you like to see, what do you want? Okay, they look around my garden, identify their choice of plants. I record it. The next thing for me to do is to visit their site, that is, can be the accommodation or business environment, for my own inspection. Upon my visitation, what I am going there to identify is to know more about the person himself or herself. The person's environment will speak some volume of the person's character to me, the person's personality. I will know if the person is a carefree person or a careful person, which will help me to advise which choice is better to introduce in such person's environment. Planting, grassing, gardening, what it requires is maintenance. Otherwise, we won't achieve anything. So we would have created a beautiful garden, and in a month or two, it would have disappeared.
So you're saying that one of the things you consider is the personality of your plant?
Of my clients, yes.
So, and that determines which plant you actually recommend?
Yes.
Besides personality, what other things can one consider?
Upon my identification of my client's personality, I then consider, is the environment having a soil ground, or cemented or tarred? If it is cemented or tarred, it is a simple thing. I can either choose to break the soil, break the ground, introduce pots, introduce. But if it is a soil ground, soil as it is, then the first thing for me to check is it humus? Is it clay? Is it sandy? If it is sandy or clay, is it just on the surface, or as I dig down, it proceeds more into the soil? Number one. Number two, are there no termites in such environments?
Why termites specifically?
Because termites will kill a plant while alive. What I'm implying is the plant will be glowing and you will not know it is dying, because termite is eating the strength from within and you would know. You just see the beautiful plants fall one day. What happened? Who felled this plant? Before you know it, you realize that the stem is weak. It has been eaten long ago. So we try to check for all these factors. That's number one. And after we are done with that, we check, is there water provision in such environments? Water is life of every garden. Be it just one plant or uncountable number of plants. Water is life for man as it is for plants. So, is there water provision? If there is no water provision, we recommend that our clients provide water before we install plants. However, we can proceed with other stages of the garden creation, like the landscaping part. The landscaping part has to do with both hardscapes and softscapes. The hardscapes are the ground preparation and all that. We hardly need water for that anyway. So we could always proceed with that while the water provision is being taken care of. Before we are done with the hardscapes, water is ready. Then we can introduce the softscapes. The softscapes is the part that has to do with installation of plants.
Okay. Now, installation of plants. I'm really happy you talked about that. And let's talk about the propagation of plants. What are the modes of propagation?
Modes of propagation varies, and day by day we come about new inventions. In those days, what we are used to is stem cutting. Alongside it is seed propagation. So, but with the advent of what the missionaries introduced to us, we come to discover a lot of biological ways by which we can propagate plants, we can cultivate more plants to give us better results, and most particularly time management, faster results. So therefore we have layering as a mode, grafting as a mode, budding as another mode. So these three other modes have been introduced as biological methods of cultivating plants. But what we are used to is seedling and stem cutting.
Please explain, as visually as possible, how grafting, layering, and budding is done.
Okay. Even as it is, some seeds, after we try to develop ourselves more in knowledge to discover how we can even maximize cultivation, we realize that there are several ways we can also prepare our seeds before we plant them for us to have maximum results of propagation, growth. Aside that, we also have come to discover that for stem cutting, there are some productions of chemicals. We call them rooting hormone. It can come in powder form, it can come in liquid form. What we do with that is we get our rooting hormone with our cuttings. After we must have prepared our cuttings into in a kind of water container to let the surface be a little soft. It has a time limit. After the stem cutting is being prepared, we dip it a little of half an inch into the rooting hormone. After we must have dipped our hands or a stem to create a hole where we need to install the stem, we then plant the stem. What we have discovered is that with the application of rooting hormones, we have maximum results of propagation as well from stem cutting, unlike we used to lose some plants. Like there's a plant up there, we call it variegated bougainvilleas. Variegated bougainvillea is not an easy plant to propagate. We do it by layering or stem cutting. It has no seeds. So when we do the propagation, say we plant 100 stems, we can only come out with 3 or 4 that will survive. But we discovered that with the application of rooting hormone, we can have 99 survive out of 100.
That's a great hope.
Yes. So we apply rooting hormone to maximize the survival of our stem propagation. So coming to budding, grafting, and layering, we have to look at a plant on its own. I'll use this variegated bougainvillea again as an example. We look at a healthy plant that is not having any infection of any sort. So we look for good spots of branch on it that can be terminated to be independent on its own. So what we do, I will describe a little. I won't go in details. We try to apply some peeling around the back. Then we apply some things. I won't go into that details.
That's a secret.
Yes.
A trade secret.
Then we try to water it, the primary plant, the plant itself that we are cultivating, for some weeks. Some go into months before we come back to terminate it and then bring it onto the soil. So we do that specifically for unique plants, because it is not easy to do budding, grafting, and propagation as much as we can do stem cuttings and seedlings. So particularly budding, grafting, and layering are more common with citrus propagation. Sweet orange, tangalo, shaddock, grapes, lemon, the citrus family generally. What we do these days is budding, grafting.
Why citrus specifically?
Because citrus, we have had some inventions in Nigeria today whereby people go into juice production. There's need for good volume of oranges. And we can't be waiting for the days of planting our oranges today and waiting until 30 years before it starts to fruit for us to achieve that purpose. So the fruits of the budded orange will never be as sweet as the locally planted one. But what we want to achieve with it is not the sweetness, but the advantage of the volume and the vitamin C that we're going to find in it. So what Borders does is we set up plantations of sweet orange for somebody who wants to go into juicing business. The plantation will yield. After 3 to 4 years, the plants will start to fruit. The person, the cultivar will have an idea how much fruit he or she is going to be cultivating every month. And then as they go into their processing, that's the reason when you read the nutrition facts on fruit juice, you realize that they still had sugar, they still had some citric acid, some other ingredients to make it sweet, because the fruits from the budded sweet orange can never be independent for direct consumption.
Wow, there still remains quite a lot to talk about, but then we'll come back again for another conversation with you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for joining us on the program, Mr. Bibalugo. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Alright, this is where we wrap things up on today's episode of the program. Many thanks for joining us. Well, gardens are very important and they're special. They take care of you if you take care of them. Until next week, you have a wonderful day.
That's the BCOS for you. Yeah, BCOS TV. Oluyole 98.5 FM Ibadan. Agility 92.1 FM Ogbomosho. Okiogun 96.3 FM Alaga. For inquiries and patronage, please call. That's the BCOS customer care line for you. Do call BCOS, a media giant in a class of its own.
National anthem.
DJ. Ẹ jẹ́ ká fún mi láàyè ẹjọ́.
Your state anthem. Thank you very much.
Timani Ogo. MC Angboyi.
Láwa yìí gbàgede òkè Màpọ́nbàdàn. Àròjinlẹ̀ ìdàpọ̀ mímọ́ láàrin PDP àti APM. Bójò bá fẹ́ rọ̀, àbúradà yóò sì bò wá káàbí ní ìrọ̀rùn àti ìdẹ̀rùn. Yes, a jẹ́ pé gbogbo èèyàn pínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ á kí gbogbo wa o. Bápẹ́ ṣe ń roko tí ń bá dún dé yìí. Ìrọ̀rùn, ebi alẹ́ ò ní pẹ́ nìkankan nínú wa. Tá a bá tún ti wí gbọ́dọ̀ yẹn, ẹ máa tẹ̀lé APM.
PDP. Alájíta ẹ̀kọ́rẹ́sì.
Ṣèyí Mákindé.
Alájíta ẹ̀kọ́rẹ́sì.
Ẹjọ́ o, ẹ máa ṣe PDP tí APM ní ọ. APM. Ẹjọ́ ọ̀tọ̀ọ̀tọ̀ lọ́rọ̀ ẹ máa sọ tí.
PDP.
Kó papọ̀.
PDP.